My opinion on Fallout 4 can be only described in one way. It's a love-hate relationship. For all the things I like and love it for, there are things that it completely botched. Fallout 4 is another installment of the franchise that's now in the hands of Bethesda, a franchise that slowly moved away from turn-based RPG combat to being basically an FPS with RPG elements to it. The game starts off with a different tone than the others. For the first time we see the world for even just a moment before everything went to crap. What is a big plus is the new character creator, which basically allows you to sculpt and customize your face in any way you want. This part also serves as a little backstory piece on your character and the family. You're no longer a mute being, which is a big plus for me as your character feels more alive than ever. Like usual, it's also a short tutorial. Get in the vault, get out and breathe the nuclear wasteland air. One of the biggest changes to the game is the completely reworked dialogue system. I'll be completely honest, it's garbage. First of all, someone thought to limit the dialogue options to only 4 at a time, basically limiting the player choice. To make matters worse, the choices no longer display the full message, but rather short ones, often single-worded, vague answers. These choices are also often yes, no and maybe. And don't even get me started on the sarcastic option. I never felt like my conversation choices mattered, and I wasn't even sure the character will say what I thought he'd say. Not to mention the persuasion options are now marked red, yellow, green depending on your success chance. But no longer does it say what stat defines the chance of success. Overall, this system feels very shallow and I don't understand the reasoning behind it. What I will praise in the new dialogue system is its presentation. It feels much more like a natural conversation between two people rather than talking to a bobbing head. Camera switch angles between you and the NPC, characters move, act, interact, and generally the facial animations are much better than the previous installments. Somewhere around an hour into the game after the first main quest of helping the Minutemen, you'll be introduced to another big new system in Fallout 4, and those are settlements and all crafting surrounding it. Basically, some zones are craftable. You can build houses, defenses, turrets, farms, water sources, power generators and other various stuff to grow settlements for the people of the Commonwealth. It's the meat of the game and I've caught myself spending tons of time just rearranging wooden fences to have that nice post-apocalyptic garden I've always dreamed of. It's a very well thought out system and a huge addicting time sink. You craft everything from resources that you get through scrapping items, especially junk stuff. Previous games had no real value to the junk, maybe except for some being used for crafting recipes. Now everything basically is a resource and can be transformed into other stuff. I'm pretty sure that by the time I finish this game I'm going to collect every single tin can in the Wasteland. You can also build various crafting stations which also tie in with the new resource system very well. You can modify and customize weapons and armors in a variety of ways to adjust it to your playstyle. Customize scopes, receivers, stocks, magazines, make crazy weird weapons, strengthen your armor. It's pretty great. But every rose has its thorns, and both of these systems are crippled by clunky UI designs of the overall game. The only improvement they did to the interface is the looting, as you can now loot containers without the need of opening the whole item transfer menu, just a few mashes of the E key. Other than that, the item transferal screen is exactly the same as previous 2 Fallout games and it's terrible. Especially when dumping lots of items into the settlement stash, every so often I transfer a piece of my armor and then have to look for it in between millions of similar items. Thankfully there is a transfer all junk button. When scrapping weapons you can have 10 pieces of the same gun, but you still need to scrap them one by one, there's no scrap all button. The building system isn't perfect either. It doesn't provide any sort of overhead view, everything you build hovers in front of your face, making it sometimes difficult to place it down. There's no grid to snap stuff to either. They do snap together though, but sometimes in a really unpredictable way. First person is great for arranging indoors stuff, but outdoors it feels a little clunky. You get the idea. So I won't bother delving into nitpicking on every single UI stuff. Instead, let's move on to one of the things I simply adore Fallout 4, the combat. So far it is the most enjoyable out of all the new Fallout games. Enemy AI has been vastly improved, raiders run to cover, shoot from behind it, ghouls lunge at the player, jump to sides to avoid your attacks, mole rats bury in the ground to jump out elsewhere trying to surprise you, and so on and so forth. Real-time combat is now a fully viable option and it doesn't take away the importance of VATS. You can lean from behind cover, sprint, quickly switch between favorite weapons, and there's a dedicated button for throwables like molotovs, grenades and such. Action points are no longer restricted to VATS and they're also spent while sprinting or holding your breath while sniping, which stabilizes your shot and is a pretty nice addition. Critical shots work also differently. While dealing damage through VATS, your critical meter fills up. Once full, you can manually trigger a damage boosting critical shot whenever you want in VATS. It's pretty helpful when you're in a pinch or encounter a stronger enemy. One thing you can also notice while using VATS, it's now that it merely slows down time and doesn't pause it anymore. To everything I just mentioned, add the armor and weapons customization and Fallout 4's combat system is pretty darn sweet. The skill system has been reworked and simplified. Every time you level up, you gain a perk point that you can spend on either upgrading your special stats or putting them into multi-level perks. There's a lot of perks related to crafting, stuff that unlocks more customization for your settlements. Gone are the skill points for separate types of weapons, barter, lockpicking. Everything now has an appropriate perk you can level up, like lockpicking, which will allow you to unlock novice, advanced and master locks. No more of the percentage based stuff. But not all perks are available during level up, a lot of them are hidden away as comic books and bobbleheads you find in the Wasteland. And now, after the sweetness, let's get to the bitter part of the game. Graphical fidelity and performance. Performance isn't terrible for the most. The game performs very well, keeping a steady 60, but in combat or just some specific places it tends to drop to 40 with some weird stuttering. Not sure if you'll notice it in the video though. So far I haven't encountered big glitches or stuff that would break my game. I once had an error where the low-res models didn't deactivate when I came closer to a location, resulting in weird texture artifacts. Reloading helped. I don't have it on video though, and it hasn't happened to me ever since. One other thing is the gun disappearing from time to time, but going to the third-person view and back fixed it for me. Once also my Pip-Boy stopped working, as I couldn't bring it up no more. And just like all the other glitches, only once. So my advice if you're going to jump into the world of Fallout 4, save a lot. And often. Graphically it looks pretty okay. It's not the best looking next-gen game, but the jump from last gen is noticeable for the most part. Models of most places and things are pretty good, but not everything. Some things have great textures, while others look like they were pulled out from Fallout 3. Don't get me wrong, it's a pretty good looking game, but it's not Witcher 3 levels of graphical fidelity. Well, at least the gun models look awesome, and let's be honest, that's what you're going to look at 90% of the time in the game. And monsters, Deathclaws look badass in Fallout 4. And they're just as deadly as they were. I also love what they did to music. Not only the tracks are climatic, but they also took the system from recent shooters. Music now dynamically changes when you enter in and out of combat, kind of like in Bioshock Infinite or even Left 4 Dead. So, this video is already long enough. So let's cut to the chase. Is Fallout 4 a good game worth buying? Absolutely. I don't mind really the graphical fidelity not being top notch, and the performance impact isn't that terrible except some spots. And hopefully a patch will fix that. Hopefully. I've been having a lot of fun exploring the world of Fallout 4 and popping enemies' heads with various types of weapons. Combat and explosion is really satisfying, fun, and the new crafting system is a nice cherry on top. It's more of a shooter now with RPG elements, but I'll be honest, it's a welcome change. Except the new dialogue, that kinda sucks. And if you enjoyed this video, why not subscribe? I do more reviews, I do retro reviews, first impressions, other stuff, I guess. You can poke me on Facebook, Twitter, and basically, thanks for watching. Bye.